Hi there guys, first video of the year, and as you can see by this little contraption I've got set up, I'm going to be doing a little bit of shooting. Well, actually flint arrow testing. And here we can see some ballistics gel I've made, and over here I've got a catapult. Now, might seem a bit strange, I'm going to be shooting flint arrows from a catapult. There's the rig for shooting, but there is method in this madness. There's been a few people who have actually done flint arrowhead testing before. Generally they've been very quick informal tests, but there's been one quite in-depth one, and that was on Paleolithic arrowheads, and all of them naturally used a Stone Age bow. Then they went on and measured the penetration of the arrowheads down to the finest millimetre, and that got me wondering, like, if you're measuring that precisely, how do you know you actually drew the bow to exactly the same weight each time? How do you know that you weren't standing a little bit forward or backwards? And how do you know you got the same angle right? You can't with a prehistoric bow. You'd need something a little bit more consistent, and that made me think crossbow. A crossbow, you can guarantee the same draw weight each time. A crossbow, you can guarantee the same distance from the target and guarantee the same angle into the target. It's a lot more scientific. So what I'm going to do is hopefully do a slightly more scientific test than the previous ones, or a bit more repeatable. And these are the arrowheads I'm going to be using. On the left we have what is basically a tanged and barbed, or barbed and tanged arrowhead. This is the style found at Stonehenge with the Amesbury archer, and this comes in the late Neolithic and early Bronze Age. Here is an oblique arrowhead, goes in like that. That's a Neolithic arrowhead. This is a leaf blade. Leaf blade was used in a lot of eras, but it's most associated with the early Neolithic. This is a petit tranché. I always butcher that word. This is from a flake, and it's associated with the early Neolithic and the Mesolithic. Will this one of Bronze Age arrowhead beat this one of Mesolithic? Can we see a improvement in technology? Will it penetrate better? So, I don't know, but what I'm going to do is shoot these arrowheads and find out. First thing I'm going to do is fire some regular crossbow bolts into the ballistics gel. This is to test it, and to test to see whether the mix is consistent, and to act as a control on the experiment. All of the crossbow bolts are identical, so should hopefully perform identically. Let's have a look. And as we can see, all the crossbow bolts have gone in pretty consistently. There's literally just millimeters difference in the penetration. I think this test shows that the ballistics gel, no matter where you hit it, is going to be pretty even. Okay, set up and ready to go, and I'm going to shoot the first arrowhead. The first arrowhead will be the tanged and barbed. So tanged and barbed arrowhead. And seems to have penetrated almost to the end of the gel. We'll leave that there and have a look at that in a little bit. Now for the second test, I'm going to shoot the oblique arrowhead. We'll see how that one compares. That one, quite interesting. The leaf blade. Finally, the petite tranchette. One. And that's it. I'll just get that. Now, looking at that, that's some very interesting results. I think you can just about see the arrowheads through. I've put these ones on top so you can help identify them. That is the tanged and barbed, the late Neolithic Bronze Age arrowhead, and it seems to have had the worst penetration, and that's quite a surprise. Seems the least penetration from the most modern arrowhead. Over here we get the oblique, and what's noticeable about the oblique is it's curved as it's gone in. I suppose that's understandable when you work out it's going in like that and it's naturally trying to push in that direction. The leaf blades penetrated the most. It's gone completely straight and it seems to have penetrated the best. In a petite tranchette I was interested because you get that kind of angle. I thought that one would actually bend as it goes in, but it hasn't. It's gone in completely straight. So if we look down there, we can see it's not bent in either direction. The holes there. Look around the back, a few millimeters left, the leaf blade, and the oblique's done pretty good as well. But yep, this was quite unexpected, the tanged and barbed doing the worst though. The previous test I read, where I read the results, it had done the best, but they, as you say, fired it from a bow and arrow, so I don't know if they got the consistency of draw weight. I suppose what these arrowheads are actually designed for has effect. I mean, these ones might not go as far, but they're going to do the most damage. I mean, the impact wound is so much bigger on that one and that one and that one. Maybe not that one, but these are barbed, so they're going to stick in the animal, whereas these are not barbed. So perhaps the advantage wasn't these shoot better, but these don't have a barb. These again go very far and have a barb. They don't fly straight, they don't penetrate straight. I mean, they haven't flown that much off. It's, I suppose, gone about an inch to the left. But they're probably going to do a lot less damage than these two. And these are the mass industry, easy to make, and they seem to be very effective. Surprisingly effective. So there's obviously more to these arrowheads than straight effectiveness, and it's got to do. You can look at the later ones are barbed and the earlier ones aren't barbed, but also I think it's got to do a lot to do with aesthetics as well as effectiveness. It's starting to well, rain now, and I'm going to have to draw this test to a stop. It's quite interesting. I might melt down the ballistics gel tonight, reset it, and have another round with the arrowheads tomorrow, just to see if I can confirm the results. Hello again. As we can see, I've got my El Cheapo builder's table setup. It's gale force winds here, and well, I think there's a storm coming, so I'm going to have to do this test pretty damn quickly. But I've reset the ballistics gel from yesterday, and I got my trusty crossbow, which for some reason yesterday's video I kept on calling a catapult, sorry about that. And what I'm going to do is reshoot the arrowheads identically to yesterday. I'm not going to bother filming myself shooting them like yesterday. I think watching the arrowheads go in one time is enough, so I'm just going to cut the film now and go back to when I've quickly shot the arrowheads in before the monsoon starts. Right, the arrows have been shot in identically to what they were yesterday. We can see the tanged and barbed, the oblique, the leaf and the petite tronche. Gel's not so clear as yesterday, I guess that's from the resetting, but we can see the petite tronche pretty much the same as yesterday. The barbed and tanged, again, pretty much the same as yesterday. The oblique, if we go down here, look at the entry point, it's kind of ended a little bit twisted to the left again. Exactly the same as yesterday, a little bit shorter in distance, but again roughly the same, and it's turned a little bit less to the left. And the leaf, we can see, like yesterday, has gone the furthest. That's actually quite interesting. We have an identical result of 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. I'll come and look around, and we can see from the front penetration of the leaf almost out. So this is quite an interesting result. I wasn't sure whether I would have bet money it wouldn't have gone identical, but it has. The arrowheads were not the same as they were yesterday, because this one started the sharpest. Now I thought it was going to blunt a lot because these have very fragile edges. It didn't blunt anything like I imagined a petite tronche would blunt after it was shot, but it was noticeably duller. It doesn't seem to have affected its performance. This one, on the other hand, retained its edge the best. It was virtually as sharp as it was yesterday. It lost nothing in its shooting, yet it still performed the worst. And this one dulled the most. I don't know why it dulled the most, perhaps because it's taking all of the dulling on one edge and not distributing it between two. But this one was quite blunt when I but it still performed largely the same. I don't think sharpness is too much of a factor, and of course the archer would get to sharpen them between shots, so I think we can rule out sharpness as a major factor in arrowhead performance. I don't think the test has been thorough enough ever to prove anything, but I will give a personal opinion. I think these arrowheads are not production line, and they're too individualistic. And if we got a different tanged and barbed, a different oblique, a different leaf, they would go in differently. I think the difference between arrowheads is not the design made to increase penetration. The advantage of this is it's mass producible, it's easily producible, you don't have to have a lot of skill to produce it. That is its selling point. This one again is from the hunter-gatherer age, so it's easily to make. It's not a specialist arrowhead. The two hunter-gatherer ones, the two from more the farming age, are much more elaborate. Yes, they have barbs that make them better, but they're also being produced by expert knappers in a village who are specialists. They're being produced much more with an eye to being collector's pieces, perhaps art or perhaps status symbols, than they are for just pure hunter-gathering efficiency.